Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run, to bend with apples the mockage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel, to set budding more and still more later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'erbrimmed their clammy cells. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while they hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. And sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press with patient look thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them, thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue, then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows borne aloft, or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne, hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Hello and welcome to Oak Tree English Poetry, and that was, of course, To Autumn by John Keats. In my world at the moment, it is currently mid-October and autumn is in full swing. The leaves are turning, the hazelnuts are swelling, the fruit is ripening. It's a wonderful time to be alive, and therefore I'm doing this live stream and found poems loosely based around autumn. And one of the things, of course, that is significant about autumn, or that we get a lot of in the UK, is rain. This is a poem by A.A. Milne of Winnie the Pooh fame. A.A. Milne, of course, perhaps you've experienced this, where you've watched two things completely unrelated to the world and said, if that one happens, I'm going to do something. Well, let's see what this child's version of that looks like. Waiting at the window. These are my 2 drops of rain waiting on the window pane. I am waiting here to see which the winning one will be. Both of them have different names. One is John and one is James. All the best and all the worst comes from which of them is first. James has just begun to ooze. He's the one I want to lose. John is waiting to begin. He's the one I want to win. James is going slowly on. Something sort of sticks to John. John is moving off at last. James is going pretty fast. John is rushing down the pane. James is going slow again. James has met a sort of smear. John is getting very near. Is he going fast enough? James has found a piece of fluff. John has quickly hurried by. James was talking to a fly. John is there, and John has won. Look, I told you, here's the sun. Now, I've read this next one before, and I love it, so I'm going to read it again because, let's face it, no one watches these, so I can just about please myself. This is A Smuggler's Song by Rudyard Kipling. If you wake at midnight and hear a horse's feet, don't go drawing back the blinds or looking in the street. Them that asks no questions isn't told a lie. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk, laces for a lady, letters for a spy. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. Running round the woodlump, if you chance to find little barrels roped and tarred, all full of brandy wine, don't you shout to come and look, nor use 'em for your play. Put the brishwood back again, and they'll be gone next day. If you see the stable door setting open wide, if you see a tired horse lying down inside, if your mother mends a coat cut about and tore, if the lining's wet and warm, don't you ask no more. If you meet King George's men dressed in blue and red, you be careful what you say and mindful what is said. If they call you pretty maid and chuck you 'neath the chin, don't you tell where no one is, nor yet where no one's been. Knocks and footsteps round the house, whistles after dark. You've no call for running out till the house dogs bark. Trust is here and Pinch is here, and see how dumb they lie. They don't fret to follow when the gentlemen go by. If you do as you've been told, likely there's a chance you'll be give a dainty doll all the way from France, with a cap of Valenciennes and a velvet hood, a present from the gentleman, along a being good. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk. Them that asks no questions isn't told a lie. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. Well, we can't very well visit autumn without including a little bit of old Billy Boy. William Shakespeare. This sonnet 73, written apparently in 1609, 7 years before he died. Not that that's particularly relevant, but and as we read this, you can, if any of you have been to Stratford upon Avon, you can sort of feel the how Shakespeare would have known the landscape around Stratford change, particularly at Charlecote Park. Whether he stole that deer or not is unknown. I like to think he might have. He was a bit of a rascal in his youth, was our Billy. That time of year thou mayest in me behold, when yellow leaves, or none, or few, do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs, where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such a day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away. Death's second self that seals up all in rest, in me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceiv'st, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well, which thou must leave ere long. Now, I saw a friend yesterday, a chap called Chris, very talented guitarist, really, really talented, whose opinion I value. And he said he'd watched one of these live streams, which I was very touched by, but he said that he didn't get very far because the language was pretty archaic. He didn't use the word archaic, he said oldie-timey. But Chris, that last one definitely wasn't for you. This next one perhaps might be. This is The Way Through the Woods by Rudyard Kipling. They shut the road through the woods 70 years ago. Weather and rain have undone it again, and now you would never know there was once a road through the woods. Before they planted the trees, it is underneath the coppice and heath and the thin anemones. Only the keeper sees that where the ring-dove broods and the badgers roll at ease, there was once a road through the woods. Yet, if you enter the woods of a summer evening late, where the night air cools on the trout-ringed pools, where the otter whistles his mate, they fear not men in the woods, because they see so few. You'll hear the beat of a horse's feet and the swish of a skirt in the dew, steadily cantering through the misty solitudes, as though they perfectly knew the old lost road through the woods, but there is no road through the woods. Oh no, there's no such thing as ghosts. Oh, that's a blow. Apparently, my internet connection just went down. Now, I moved upstairs so that wouldn't happen anymore, but clearly it has just happened. So I'm going to do Way Through the Woods again, whether you like it or not. They shut the road through the woods 70 years ago. Weather and rain have undone it again, and now you would never know there was once a road through the woods. Before they planted the trees, it is underneath the coppice and heath and the thin anemones. Only the keeper sees that where the ring-dove broods and the badgers roll at ease, there was once a road through the woods. Yet, if you enter the woods of a summer evening late, where the night air cools on the trout-ringed pools, where the otter whistles his mate, they fear not men in the woods, because they see so few. You'll hear the beat of a horse's feet and the swish of a skirt in the dew, steadily cantering through the misty solitudes, as though they perfectly knew the old lost road through the woods, but there is no road through the woods. Now, from Kipling to Frost, we're crossing the Atlantic. This is from a collection of poems called Mountain Interval, and this is Robert Frost, written this time in 1920. Chris, you might like this one as well, mate. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveller. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled by, and that has made all the difference. Well, I've been away from Kipling for far too long. At least one poem. That's far too long. So we're going back to Kipling. This one, fans of the Jungle Book will be familiar with. Of course, when you think about autumn, you think about woods and jungles and forests, and the beautiful colours that are produced by the chlorophyll being drawn back out of the leaves. Amazing, absolutely miraculous, the life cycle of a tree. However, Rudyard Kipling is probably best known for writing The Jungle Book, and this is a book. This is a poem taken directly from and used in the new version of The Jungle Book, the film. Now this is the law of the jungle, as old and as true as the sky, and the wolf that shall keep it may prosper, but the wolf that shall break it must die. As the creeper that girdles the tree trunk, the law runneth forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. Wash daily from nose tip to tail tip. Drink deeply, but never too deep. And remember, the night is for hunting, and forget not, the day is for sleep. The jackal may follow the tiger, but cub, when thy whiskers are grown, remember, the wolf is a hunter. Go forth and get food of thine own. Keep peace with the lords of the jungle, the tiger, the panther, and bear, and trouble not Hati the silent, and mock not the boar in his lair. When pack meets with pack in the jungle, and neither will go from the trail, lie down till the leaders have spoken. It may be fair words shall prevail. When you fight with the wolf of the pack, you must fight him alone and afar, lest others take part in the quarrel, and the pack be diminished by war. The lair of the wolf is his refuge, and where he has made him his home, not even the head wolf may enter, not even the council may come. The lair of the wolf is his refuge, but where he has digged it too plain, the council shall send him a message, and so he shall change it again. If ye kill before midnight, be silent, and wake not the woods with your bay, lest ye frighten the deer from the crop, and your brothers go empty away. Ye may kill for yourselves and your mates, and your cubs as they need and ye can, but kill not for pleasure of killing, and 7 times never kill man. If ye plunder his kill from a weaker, devour not all in thy pride. Pack right is the right of the meanest, so leave him the head and the hide. The kill of the pack is the meat of the pack. You must eat it where it lies, and no one may carry away of that meat to his lair, or he dies. The kill of the wolf is the meat of the wolf. He may do what he will, but till he has given permission, the pack may not eat of that kill. Cub right is the right of the yearling. From all of his pack he may claim full gorge when the killer has eaten, and none may refuse him the same. Lair right is the right of the mother. From all of her year she may claim 1 haunch of each kill for her litter, and none may deny her the same. Cave right is the right of the father, to hunt by himself for his own. He is freed of all calls to the pack. He is judged by the council alone. Because of his age and his cunning, because of his gripe and his paw, in all that the law leaveth open, the word of your head wolf is law. Now these are the laws of the jungle, and many and mighty are they, but the head and the hoof of the law, and the haunch and the hump, is obey. I think we can learn a lot from wolves if that's really the law of the jungle. Of course, was it Tennyson who said that nature is red in tooth and claw? It doesn't always work out like that but there's some good lessons to be learned from that. Maybe not about killing, but still. Now, W.B. Yeats. I like Yeats. He's very good, and he's spelt like Keats but with a Y. I like Yeats, and I like a lot of his poems. I've read He Wishes for the Cloths of Heaven, for example. But one that is a little bit more autumny is The Lake Isle of Innisfree. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there, of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always, night and day, I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore, while I stand on the roadway, on the pavements grey. I hear it in the deep heart's core. Now, as we mentioned, Robert Frost, American but good poet. And from A Boy's Will, written in 1915, he comes a poem which he entitled, unoriginally, To Autumn. Oh, hushed October morning mild, thy leaves have ripened to the fall. Tomorrow's wind, if it be wild, should waste them all. The crows above the forests call. Tomorrow they may form and go. Oh, hushed October, morning mild, begin the hours of this day slow. Make the day seem to us less brief, hearts not averse to being beguiled. Beguile us in the way you know. Release one leaf at break of day. At noon release another leaf. One from our trees, one far away. Retard the sun with gentle mist. Enchant the land with amethyst. Slow, slow, for the grapes' sake, if they were all whose leaves already are burnt with frost, whose clustered fruit must else be lost, for the grapes' sake along the wall. One of the most atmospheric places to be in autumn is, of course, the seaside, the coastline, or even at sea itself. This is one by John Masefield about being at sea. It is not the same one I read the other day, though. This is Cargoes. Quin Kareem of Nineveh, from distant Ophir, rowing home to haven in sunny Palestine, with a cargo of ivory and apes and peacocks, sandalwood, cedarwood, and sweet white wine. Stately Spanish galleon coming from the isthmus, dipping through the tropics by the palm green shores, with a cargo of diamonds, emeralds, amethysts, topazes, and cinnamon, and gold moidores. Dirty British coaster with a salt-caked smokestack butting through the channel in the mad March days, with a cargo of time coal, road rails, pig lead, firewood, ironware, and cheap tin trays. Okay, we're going to go back to Shakespeare, but this time not a sonnet, because I'm a bit sonneted out, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Shakespeare's sonnets. Please don't turn off right now and label me a heretic or something. But I don't like Shakespeare's sonnets. I like Shakespeare, not his sonnets. In Act 1, Scene 2 of The Tempest, the airy spirit Ariel is ordered by Prospero to lead the shipwrecked Ferdinand to him. She does this by invisibly singing the above song, the song I'm about to recite to you, to gain his attention and guide him by the sound of her voice. The second stanza is of particular relevance to Ferdinand, since his father drowned. Come unto these yellow sands, and then take hands, curtsied when you have, and kissed the wild waves' whist. Foot it fleetly here and there, and sweet sprites the burthen bear. Hark, hark, bow wow, the watchdogs bark. Bow wow, hark, hark, I hear the strain of a strutting chanticleer. Cry cock-a-doodle-dow. Full fathom 5 thy father lies, of his bones a coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell. Ding dong, hark, now I hear them. Ding dong bell. A sea change, of course, is one of those many things that Shakespeare, one of the idioms that Shakespeare added into the English language, and that we can be very grateful to him for. Now, I'm going to read an abridgment. We're sticking with the sea theme. I'm going to read an abridgment because the full version of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner is just too long to do as part of a multi-poem live stream. I might do it one day just on its own. I won't be doing Paradise Lost just on its own. That would be an exercise in insanity. But this is Samuel Taylor Coleridge, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stopp'st thou me? The wedding guest sat on a stone, he cannot choose but hear, and thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbour cleared, merrily did we drop, below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. And then the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong. He struck with his o'ertaking wings, and chased south along. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice mast high came floating by, as green as emerald. At length did cross an albatross, through the fog it came. As if it had been a Christian soul, we hailed it in God's name. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why look'st thou so with my crossbow? I shot the albatross. And I had done an hellish thing, and it would work 'em woe. For all averred I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. Day after day, we stuck, nor breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. The very deep did rot. O Christ, that ever this should be! Yea, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. Ah, well a day, what evil looks had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could not laugh nor wail. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood, and cried, "A sail! A sail!" Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how far she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glanced in the sun like restless gossameres? Are those her ribs which the sun did peer through a grate? Is that a woman, all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate? The naked hull alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I've won, quoth he, and whistles thrice. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. The many men so beautiful, and they all dead did lie, and 1,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. I looked to heaven and tried to pray, and from my neck so free, the albatross fell off and sank like lead into the sea. Oh, sleep it is a gentle thing, beloved from pole to pole. To Mary Queen the praise be given, she sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. Beneath the lightning and the moon, the dead men gave a groan. Their lifeless limbs gan work the ropes. We were a ghastly crew. I heard, and in my very soul discerned 2 voices in the air. Quoth one, the man hath penance done, and penance more will do. Swiftly, swiftly flew the ship, yet she sailed softly too. Sweetly, sweetly blew the breeze, on me alone it blew. Oh, dream of joy! Is this indeed the lighthouse top I see? Is this the hill? Is this the kirk? Is this mine own country? Each corpse lay flat, lifeless and flat, and by the holy rood, a man all light, a seraph man, on every corpse there stood. But soon I heard the dash of oars, I heard the pilot's cheer. My head was turned perforce away, and I saw a boat appear. And now all in mine own country, I stood on the firm land. The hermit stepped forth from the boat, and scarcely he could stand. Oh, shrieve me, holy man! The hermit crossed his brow. Say quick, quoth he, I bid thee say, what manner of man art thou? Since then I pass from land to land till the agony returns, until my ghastly tale is told, this heart within me burns. Farewell, farewell, but this I tell to thee, thou wedding guest. He prayeth well, who loveth well, both man and bird and beast. And now the mariner is gone, the wedding guest forlorn, a sadder and a wiser man, he rose the morn. Now that leaves out many of my favourite verses from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, but it gives a brief look into the story. I do love it. Absolutely beautiful. Now, another poem called To Autumn, because there's just so many. This one by William Blake. So we're going for various different genres of poetry. William Blake, 1783. O autumn, laden with fruit and stained with the blood of the grape, pass not, but sit beneath my shady roof. There thou mayst rest, and tune thy jolly voice to my fresh pipe, and all the daughters of the year shall sing and dance. Sing now the lusty song of fruits and flowers. The narrow bud opens her beauties to the sun, and love runs in her thrilling veins. Blossoms hang round the brows of morning, and flourish down the bright cheek of modest eve, till clustering summer breaks forth into singing, and feathered clouds strew flowers round her head. The spirits of the air live in the smells of fruit, and joy with pinions light roves round the gardens, or sits singing in the trees. Thus sang the jolly autumn as he sat, then rose, girded himself, and o'er the bleak hills fled from our sight, but left his golden load. October. Okay, now we're going to go a little bit darker, a little bit morbid perhaps. We're going for some Edgar Allan Poe. And of course, Edgar Allan Poe's most famous poem, The Raven, published in 1845. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this, nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore. for the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Here I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door. Perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Thou, thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast above the sculptured bust above his chamber door, with such name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, "Doubtless," said I, "what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of nevermore." But the raven, still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then, upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, "Nevermore." This I sat, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burnt into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, and nepenthe, difficult words, excuse me, from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Prophet," said I, "thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." "Be that our word, our sign of parting, bird or fiend," I shrieked, upstarting, "get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. I do like that poem. It's lovely. This is going on a little bit long, but I'm going to do two more poems, one written by me and one written by my wife. So this is written by Matt Renix, which is my pen name, The Storm. And this was written for about true events when lightning struck a friend's house. It was quite an evening. That was back in 1999. One night as I was drinking, I heard a giant walk. I went outside and up the hill to watch where he would stalk. I went up the hill in stupidity and watched him through these veils, coming across the landscape with his bellows, moans, and wails. I heard him shouting. I saw him strike. I kept on watching, ignoring fright. Before I knew, I could feel his breath, and I ran and hid, fearing death. I ran for fear back down the hill, but the giant's wrath was on me still. I drove fast through the mighty blows. He dealt around me as he chose. In a second bout of foolish courage, I ran back at him to make him worried. He laughed aloud and struck again, but I made it safe to the drinking den. We laughed and joked and tempted fate as we in the safe warm pub did wait. He stayed outside, yet travelled wide, as one of my friends' homes he fried. At length with smiles we ventured out, knowing not his mighty clout. But soon enough their house we found, with fire engines all around. Tears and cries from us he heard, but we from him heard not a word. I'm sure he spoke and laughed to see the anguish he had laid on me. To shake my fist and swear revenge would not the cold hard factuals change. These giants die as passing clouds give way to sunlight, which is their shrouds. But their demise does not undo the evil done in their short lifetime through. The flames still burnt, the smoke still billowed, our dreams were not left on our pillows. My dear sweet friend lost all her room, with little left to cheer her gloom. Her possessions, her oddments, her memories, all were charred by the giant's sneeze. Oh, cruel, unfeeling, violent ogre, lightning your weapon, cloud and rain your toga, you smote your vengeance hard and true. Oh, unjust, remorseless, awesome you. I who watched your approach with wonder, I was complacent, I am no longer. I see the power, and I am daunted. I will by this be ever haunted. Okay, rereading that is not quite as good as I thought it was when I wrote it. Yes, my talent is significantly less impressive than I once deemed it to be. Oh dear. My wife, however, is much cleverer, and this is a poem called Autumn by Karen Skinner. A leaf falls to the ground from an almost naked tree upon a carpet of red debris. Time goes back near October's end for that added hour. Unwind and get some extra sleep to restore your power. Make a bonfire with a guy to celebrate the night, November the 5th, when Parliament was almost set alight. There we go. And now that's a very long live stream, so I do apologize if I've gone on a bit. I hope you've enjoyed some of it or part of it, and I will I will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.